It's a star-studded drama 6 years in the making.
It's been 6 years of trying times. One day you're Cinderella, so to speak, and then in 0.6 seconds you're Quasimodo.
It's drawing fans from far and wide.
Johnny's an outstanding gent. I grew up watching his movies.
It's surreal for me. I feel like I'm in Johnny Depp's new movie.
Actor Johnny Depp is suing ex-wife Amber Heard for defamation.
I had to wait for my opportunity to address the charges, which were criminal charges, and they just weren't true. So I felt the responsibility of clearing the record.
His claims stem from a 2018 op-ed Heard wrote in the Washington Post accusing Depp of domestic abuse. Depp says Heard is the one who abused him.
She picked up a can of mineral spirits about yay big and just heaved it at me, and it struck me on the bridge of the nose.
And what did you say in response when Miss Heard said, "Tell the world, Johnny, tell them Johnny Depp, I, Johnny Depp, a man, I'm a victim too of domestic violence"?
I said, yes, I am.
During his in-depth direct examination testimony, Depp revealed his troubled childhood and described an abusive mother who spared no one, including his own father.
To me, as a 5-year-old boy, I kept thinking to myself, I kept wondering why does he take it? How does he take this? And why doesn't he leave her? But he didn't. He was able to maintain his calm and his composure. He was able to maintain his relationship with his children. He was a good man.
Depp later tried to draw parallels between his abusive mother and ex-wife Amber Heard.
I was sort of not allowed to be right, not allowed to have a voice. So at a certain point, when what enters your mind is, you start to slowly realize that you are in a relationship with your mother, in a sense. And I know that sounds perverse and obtuse, but the fact is that some people search for weaknesses in people.
But his long, rambling narratives on direct examination were quickly cut short during a contentious cross-examination, which featured troubling text exchanges with co-star Paul Bettany.
In this text, you text Mr. Bettany, "Let's burn Amber," 3 exclamation points, right? You see that?
I do see that.
And at this time, June 11, 2013, Amber is your girlfriend, or perhaps even your fiance at this point, correct?
Girlfriend,
yeah,
for sure.
And you didn't stop when you said, "Let's burn Amber." Because the next text down, you can move down and blow up the next text, please, Michelle. You say, "Let's drown her before we burn her."
Heard's attorney, Benjamin Rottenborn, also confronted Depp with damning evidence about abusing drugs.
Paul Bettany's a good friend that you've done drugs with, right?
That's a strange question. Paul Bettany is a good friend.
I'd like to take a look at the text that you sent to Paul Bettany on July 11th. You write to Mr. Bettany, "You may have to drink for me. I, of course, pounded and displayed ugly colors to Amber on a recent journey. I am an insane person and not so fair-headed after too much of the drink. Weed, pills, fine. Booze, my capacity is too large and I won't stop. Ugly and sad."
Depp admits to drug and alcohol issues, but suggests Heard exaggerated and exploited his addiction.
Miss Heard wasn't the only one who had a problem with your drinking, correct?
So if anyone had a problem with my drinking at any time in my life, it was me. The only person that I have ever abused in my life is myself.
10 days after her ex-husband testified in front of a jury,
I, as a woman, had never been hit like that.
Actress Amber Heard spent 4 days explaining her side of their volatile relationship.
It was a friendship, flirtatious.
Heard met Depp when she auditioned for his movie, The Rum Diary. The two began dating in late 2011. Then Depp popped the question in 2014.
My dad told me, Johnny has asked me permission for your hand in marriage. And I felt like the luckiest woman in the world.
The fairy tale courtship, Heard said, turned horrific when Depp drank and did drugs. She detailed the movie star's reaction to a tattoo he inked for former girlfriend Winona Ryder. Depp had it changed to read Wino Forever.
I just laughed because I thought he was joking. And slapped me across the face. And I laughed. He said, "You think it's so funny? You think it's funny? You think you're a funny?" And he slapped me again.
After this first incident, Heard described for the jury a relationship haunted by physical abuse. Violent episodes, she said, happened during vacations, on flights, and in their California home.
He kind of just pushed me down, held me down by it, and kind of pulled me into it, and he was asking me, kind of taunting me, asking me if I thought I was so tough. You think you're such a tough guy, huh? Are you so tough now? Look who's so tough. You want to be a man? Those are scars that I obtained while Johnny was strangling me and assaulting me on the countertop in Australia.
While under direct examination, Heard appeared composed during difficult testimony, and at other times, she careened into intense emotion.
I felt this pressure. On my pubic bone. He thought he was punching me.
These accounts all supporting her defense to the $50 million lawsuit against her. Depp sued Heard in 2019 for defamation when she alluded to being a survivor of his domestic violence in a Washington Post op-ed.
It's not about Johnny. The only one who thought it was about Johnny is Johnny. It's about me. It's about what happened to me after Johnny. It's about what happened to me after I escaped my marriage. It's about me and my life and what I endured once I moved on.
While on cross-examination, Depp's attorney, Camille Vasquez, used some of Heard's own recorded words during an altercation where Depp was attempting to leave.
I'm gonna die at this age. I'm gonna die. You're causing me so much stress. Please stop. Please stop. I've been begging you not to fight.
That's you and Mr. Depp in the recording, correct, Ms. Heard?
That's correct.
You just won't let him go, will you?
That's not true.
Depp's defense challenged his ex-wife's claims, alleging instead she was the abusive one.
Tell them Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp, a man, a victim too of domestic violence, end quote. That's what you said, right?
I was saying it to the man who beat me up, yes.
You're the one who assaulted someone with a bottle in Australia, isn't that right, Ms. Heard?
I didn't assault Johnny in Australia. I didn't assault Johnny ever. I couldn't.
And then after he was injured, he had to hide from you, right?
That is incorrect.
5 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms.
That is incorrect.
Repeated questions about abusing Depp prompted Heard to break her gaze from the jury and stare down her courtroom opponent.
He knows he's lying. Otherwise, why can't he look at me? I survived. I survived that man, and I'm here, and I'm able to look at him. I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched.
Don't tell me what it feels like to be punched.
I'm not sitting here bitching about it, am I? You are. That's the difference between me and you. You're a baby.
In this defamation trial, both Johnny Depp and Amber Heard voiced their claims of physical violence that occurred throughout their tumultuous 15-month marriage.
It was a very violent, chaotic, at times very loving, emotional relationship. Unfortunately, the violence became almost normal, especially towards the end.
Miss Heard, in her frustration and in her rage and her anger, she would strike out. It could begin with a slap, it could begin with a shove, it could begin with, throwing a TV remote at my head.
A lot has been alleged in their physical confrontations with each other, like a slap.
And he just whacks me in the face. I suspected I had a broken nose.
A kick.
I feel this boot in my back. He just kicked me.
A punch.
Bam. And then I just said, is that what you wanted?
Well, he busted my lip when he punched me. It's bleeding in this picture.
A headbutt.
And he balled up his fists, leaned back, and headbutted me square in the nose. Just searing pain.
Things thrown at each other.
She walked up to me and reached and grabbed the bottle of vodka, and then just kind of stood back and then hurled it at me.
Just pulls his arm back with the foam and throws it at my face.
And even defecation.
Fecal matter on the bed. Tried to blame it on the dogs.
According to Amber Heard, the fighting started early in the relationship.
At first it was indirect, and then it became really direct. Then the punching of the walls next to my head, which is a constant at that time in 2012. It would escalate to the point where he would push me or shove me down, and then I'd get back up.
In May 2014, a private plane ride got bumpy mid-flight.
I was looking out of the window, and he slaps my face. And his friend is in our proximity. And it didn't hurt my face. It just felt embarrassed. He just kicked me in the back. I fell to the floor. I caught myself on the floor, and I just felt like I was looking at the floor of the plane felt like a long time.
In March 2015, just a month after they were married, Johnny Depp recalls an alleged violent encounter with Amber Heard. The result? A part of his finger severed.
She threw the large bottle, and it made contact and shattered everywhere. The tip of my finger had been severed. I was looking directly at my bone sticking out. Blood was just pouring out. I don't know what a nervous breakdown feels like, but that's probably the closest that I've ever been.
Amber agrees the fight was violent, but she claims Depp was the abusive one.
You could just feel this pressure. It was like it kept hitting it. It didn't feel pain. It was just a pressure on my pubic bone.
Later that same month, another alleged attack. This one occurred near the staircase of their downtown Los Angeles penthouse.
This took place on the landing, trying to get to me, trying to hit me. And then Whitney, her sister, was there. When she was in between us, Amber snuck in she reached, got the roundhouse in, and
I swung at him. In all of my relationship to date with Johnny, I hadn't landed a blow. And I, for the first time, hit him.
On May 21st, 2016, another domestic incident prompted a visit from police. Heard claimed Depp threw a phone at her, hitting her in the face. These pictures were taken while she was at the courthouse, waiting for a restraining order.
When you filed the domestic violence temporary restraining order, how many acts of abuse did you allege at that time?
I gave the last couple, I believe. Last two incidents, maybe three.
It was enough to get a restraining order, but the jury will have to decide if it's enough to win the defamation case against Johnny Depp.